Good morning, Doc.
Doc.
Good morning, guys. Never a dull moment.
Never.
I tell you what, you cracked me up. I'm sure you weren't laughing, but yeah, I guess I just was laughing in my tears when I was at my family's house in New Jersey, and the Cowboys are eating turkey during the game, and I put on my Twitter, and you tweeted rock bottom. And I said, you know what? That is rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we deserved it. We earned it. We went way out of our way to earn it. And it's just like when they tried to, well, they did try to break up the Fun Bunch, and we just made a poster out of it and made money off of it. But it's what happens, man. All the spoils go to the victor. So I'm not mad. It's disappointing. It ruined a great meal, a great day. And I knew, you coming into it, you kind of felt, well, it's possible. But the good news is that another test for Project Howell, and the guy doesn't collapse. You can't break him. He's unflappable, and that's a positive. There are no guarantees to any of this, and I agree with you guys. The draft depends on how lucky you get. The strategy the ownership group taken, obviously, is to try to get in the top 5 and not ruffling any feathers. The Del Rio move, that's interesting. Can't wait to find out what really went down. That'll be good content for the new year. But other than that, it's just business as usual.
What's your guess on what went down? I was listening to you with Al Galdi last night, by the way.
Well, Ron,
you guys were speculating. Is he just getting out in front of it?
I think Jack, whatever happened, first of all, we act like, Ron's in charge. So he's in charge of everything. How could they not be doing what he wants them to do? So this is actually almost like a tantrum. What would Jack, you want him to call something, he wouldn't call it. Now you're going to go in and change everything, but you were in charge the whole time anyway. So either way, you can't win in this scenario. All we're doing is avoiding a messier situation. Because I can't understand. I got to figure out what value in it is to stay pat when it's not working. And obviously they found there's a value in it.
Hey, I wanted to ask you too. So I was listening to you when I was driving around yesterday, and it's interesting. Earlier in the season, you were like, "Hey, we got to win every game," but you said that Galdi got you to the, and I might be botching the cliche, but if you go low, you go high, right?
Yeah.
That you
I had to submit he was right.
Yeah.
Well, my old tag team partner, we fought over this for quite a long time. And he was saying draft pick. It was the chase pick. And let's get to number 1. Let's get a quarterback. And we went through all that. And I go, once you allow yourself to submit to losing, you may never get out of it. You may have a Bengal year, a 30-year run. It's like the plague. You may not be able to get out of it. And then I look back, and I thought I was right. Well, I wasn't. Because we haven't been able to bust a grape.
Right, we are in that.
And you win with players in this league.
Right now.
Either you scheme it, and obviously we don't have schemers now, or you can say, well, how do you define Bieniemy's value? Because Sam is passing a lot of these tests under unbelievable circumstances, which is what you would really want if you really want to know what you're going to do in February or so, or whomever is going to do it. What it comes down to, and you guys are right, listen to you about whomever in the past, almost all the badasses got beat up early in their careers. They got torched, and they survived it. This is a gauntlet, and I think he's showing he's got it. Whatever that it is, this kid has a lot of positives. Now, what would it be like if he had an offensive line? I just start thinking, wow, if this guy actually had some protection, what about if he had a defense that could get him the ball? But it's just unlimited possibilities. But if you keep losing, and there's a pretty decent chance that'll continue, you might be 4-3, and then what? So this is what they pay whomever is going to be in charge of this. An exciting situation we're coming into. And but for right now, the Dolphins and this track team they're bringing in now for Ron's first assignment, it's going to be interesting.
It'll be, yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see, how he calls a game, how much differently it's going to look.
I'm interested to see him involved.
Yeah, with the headphones
the energy.
on.
I mean, you're going to have to have energy for this.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to see him lock in.
What, you couldn't get Jack to do this before? You guys couldn't compromise? Sounds like Jack was bullying you.
Huh. Yeah, you kind of wonder, right?
By the way, the Dolphins are not just a passing team, but they're second in the league in rushing. I mean, they got an unbelievable balance.
Yeah,
so
good squad.
We're going to
have to tackle people.
Yeah, right.
And get them actually down to the ground. So then you're going to find out when this all comes down to how competitive are the guys. Because if they're competitive, and I believe they are, they're going to come out, man. They're listening. They hear. They read. They have to what was it, 41 million? I mean, one of the largest crowds ever to see that. You got to come out, man, and avenge yourself. If not, I wouldn't want them on my team next year.
Well, who do you definitely want on your team next year? Who jumps out at you?
Well, nobody. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is that the players we have are not playing well enough.
Right.
So, and like Big Phil Mathers, I thought Ridgeway was a difference maker. Nobody can appear to be ordinary. Like Andre Jones now. Hey, guys, it's an opportunity. I want to call him up and say, hello. You're not a baby anymore. You're not in college. KJ, let's go. We need playmakers. We can't cover anybody from a linebacker standpoint. It's like practice squad guys. I want to go through the kitchen and figure out what do we have that we're not using, because opportunities are there. What happened to Benjamin St-Juste? I thought he was promising. I thought he was going to come. Or are they going to blame this on the other guys? Well, that was their fault. The guys we hired couldn't get it done. Okay, then flick the switch. I don't buy that because it's about players.
What about, I'm sure you saw, Doc, Darryl about 6 weeks ago when Forbes was going through his stuff. Said, listen, I don't like to talk about this kind of thing, but somebody asked him. Yeah. But he said,
give him to me for 10 minutes.
He said, I can fix him in 10 minutes. He's not being coached right, essentially is what he said. And he wasn't trying to denigrate them or whatever. He was just giving him his honest opinion. What did you make of that when Darryl said that?
Well, I spoke to Darryl about it, and he wanted to have the kid come over and have lunch. That's what alumni are supposed to be about. If you're allowed access, just for dialogue. He's not a coach. He wasn't trying to go re-coach him, but a dialogue is no different than our industry. If somebody who's done something you haven't done is willing to talk with you, break a little bread, have a pop, have a beer, it's a game changer. It's an accelerator for you. But they don't have that environment where that's conducive.
He's not welcome, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know what he is, but hopefully the next group that comes in will create an environment where you have that, where it's normal for guys that have been through the system to actually have that type of interaction. They've done some really good things in that area, and others, they got a long way to go on.
Doc, what are you seeing with Daron Payne? He had just a massive year last year, 11.5 sacks from the interior, just 2 this year so far through 12 games. Are you seeing something different from his production, from his output?
Well, they're going to double you more because they can. And we've been saying this since the first show. I said when John Allen gets an injury, you're all in trouble because he's never going to come off the field. He's never going to let it heal. That's out. So he's going to be minimized in the fact that he's not going to play as strong as he normally does, but he's going to be there for you. And once they lost their ends, now these guys are really compromised unless somebody takes advantage of an opportunity to play. And I thought it was an area of strength, but obviously it's not. I mean, here's what it is. I mean, you lose a lot of these battles in February. When they decided to get who they got, well, they did it. And they've had some success in the past with guys coming up, the Percy Butlers of the world, guys are going, wow. But now, who's wowing you?
Not many people are wowing us.
Certainly not on defense.
Yeah, well, that's my whole point. Yeah. And so if somebody, I know this is really dangerous area I'm in, but somebody's got to be responsible for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the coaching staff's not good. I mean, we know that. But the players aren't that good either. They've got a couple. They've got a handful of really good individual players,
Yeah,
but
but
it's a bad football team.
But you and I both know. I think that's too easy to say.
It's a bad football team.
You and I both know that if Mike Tomlin was here, we talked about it yesterday, or some other guys, they'd get more wins. Now, it doesn't mean they'd be a 10-win team.
I would agree with that.
But they would be, way more competitive.
I don't know. Maybe some of the guys have checked out. Who knows? When it comes to, and this is just a guess on your part, I get it. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the next coach, do you want them to go after, we talked about this yesterday, go after the big splash, the Jim Harbaugh type, or do you want them to go after, a Kellen Moore, a hot offensive coordinator, or the Ben Johnson guy from Detroit? It's your guess, but do you think Josh Harris goes after that big name, that big splash, or whoever the GM is, they go with that younger offensive mind?
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be just an absolute guess. Because
what would you want?
I lean towards but I'm different. I'm not your. I mean, that's a bad question because
okay, sorry.
most people are going to do what's easiest.
Yeah,
and they're going to base it off dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea unless they've been through it. And how many people in the world have been through it? Very few. Harbaugh, for me, is a match to me personally. How I think, how I act. I love his demeanor, and it's no nonsense. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be exhausted, and he's already done it. He's already won more than our whole group has won here collectively. Mm-hmm. So to me, you just got to, but does he want it? Is it appealing? I think it is. But then again, I do believe in a general manager being the dog in the group, being the real canine, not the coach. Coach has too many relationships with players. That's why the players play for him, because they really like him. The GM, you could hate this guy. It don't matter. But somebody's got to be the bearer of bad news. And what it strikes me over there, they have nobody that can deliver bad news.
Harbaugh might say, you know what, because Staley's going to get fired in Chargers. He's going to say, I got Justin Herbert. I'm going to go get Justin Herbert as my quarterback.
Right.
That'll be my guy.
Well, I don't know why. I mean, but again, Justin Herbert, listen, again, what are you trying to accomplish? If you're trying to be a fantasy league, boom, get Herbert. If you whatever you're in, you're gambling, get Herbert. But winning, why would you want him?
Well, just because naturally.
Eventually, the quarterback has got to be the guy that helps you get over the hump to win.
Well, I'd want Herbert over Sam Howell 10 times out of 10.
Well, it depends on how you're going to build your team. You would rethink that down the road.
No, I would not. No.
I wouldn't. I can't stand him. Every time I look at him, I go, here we go again.
Yeah.
But again, this is a new
I also
era
think that's a bad
now.
coach team, too, but go ahead.
Well, here's the deal. Like I said, my first car, I had to roll the windows up. Mm-hmm. I had to stick shift. Everything was manual. Now it's automatic. So a guy like Herbert in this society, he fits. The way I was born, he's a bum.
Why? Expand on that.
He's not a winner. He's not the difference winner. Why are you, John Unitas, my favorite quarterbacks, Montana, guys, they won. The object used to be to win the game. Now the object is to get rich or to just win all these other contests or whatever the hell's going on.
Fantasy,
so I understand
fantasy stats.
It's the end of an era. I get it. Eventually they'll be playing flag across the board. That's the way I see this.
All right.
So in the meantime, I'm just trying to enjoy the remains of pro football.
Yeah. Doc, we got to run. We always enjoy
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Yep, of course. Doc Walker, host of the Burgundy and Gold post-game show here on The Fan and Team 980.